I'm 27, and until this happened, I considered myself a pretty normal, pretty boring guy. I make online tutorials for a living. Simple stuff at first, like how to clean your laptop or how to calibrate your microphone. But over the years, I got more into niche technical videos. My channel never blew up, but it paid my bills. The only reason I even mention my job is because everything that happened revolves around it, and because it's still the part that I can't mentally separate from what came after. This happened last year in August. I had just moved into a smaller apartment to save some money. It wasn't awful, just old. Thin walls, flickering hallway lights, the kind of place people only rent when they're in transition. I told myself it was temporary. That night started out like any other filming night. I was working on a video about fixing corrupted audio files, riveting stuff, I know. But my tutorials always attracted people who were desperate, people who'd lost recordings for work, school, or family events. I liked helping them. At around 7 p.m., I set up my lights, cleaned my desk, and opened my editing software. I remember thinking the apartment felt unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. But I brushed it off. New places always feel strange at first. If I had known what that night would turn into, I would have left the equipment on the floor and gone out for dinner. Or maybe I would have just moved out again entirely. But I pressed record instead. I always start my tutorials the same way, testing the mic, clapping twice, then saying something dumb just to break the stiffness in my voice. That night was no different. My first take started with me joking about how corrupted audio files are like that one friend who always cancels plans last minute. I filmed for about an hour, messed up a few times, started over, normal routine. Around 8:30, I took a break to heat up leftovers. I ate sitting on the floor in front of my tiny second-hand TV, scrolling through comments on my latest upload. People were asking for more technical deep dives. Others wanted simpler content. One user, someone with the handle Teach Me Everything, had left a long comment on multiple videos, praising the channel in this overly enthusiastic, almost childlike tone. Things like, "Your tutorials make me feel safe." It stood out, but I get weird comments sometimes. Cost of doing anything online. After eating, I washed the plate, filled my water bottle, and went back to my desk. I remember glancing at the window beside my workspace. I had no curtains yet, and the glass reflected just enough of the room to make it seem like someone else might be standing behind me if I didn't focus. The hallway outside my door had motion-activated lights that clicked loudly every time someone walked by. I heard them come on once, then off again, but that building was full of people, so footsteps weren't unusual. I sat down, stretched my neck, checked my camera battery. Still just an average night. Still nothing that should have made my hands shake later when I thought about it. If anything, I was in a good mood, productive, calm, focused. Then I opened my email. I usually ignore emails while filming, but a notification popped up from someone named Evan R. The subject line was, "Help ASAP, urgent please." I thought it was another viewer needing a quick fix. I get those all the time, but the message was strange. It said, "Hi, I watched your tutorial about restoring lost audio. I need you to check mine. It's important you do it tonight. I need to know why the file sounds like that. I'm sending the recording in this link." There was no attachment, just a download link. Normally, I never click links from strangers. My subscribers know I always tell them to attach files directly or upload to a known platform. But something about the email felt desperate, not malicious. People sometimes contacted me after losing voicemail from a dead relative, or thesis interviews, or wedding vows. I'd seen enough panic to recognize it. Still, something felt off. Maybe it was the bluntness, or the fact that he didn't explain the problem. No pleasantries, no context, but I clicked it. A small WAV file downloaded, no description, just audio1.wav. I hesitated, put on my headphones, pressed play. At first, nothing, just faint static, like a phone brushing against fabric. Then about 6 seconds in, a soft voice whispered something. Not words, just breathy syllables, too close to the microphone. I replayed it 3 times. Each time, the whispering felt more intentional, like someone trying to speak, but restraining themselves. It wasn't scary yet, just odd. I assumed the guy had accidentally recorded his pocket or breathed into the mic. I wrote a quick reply asking for more context. Seconds later, I received another email, this time with no greeting at all. Please don't delete it. It wasn't supposed to record. I think someone was in my house. I froze. I leaned back in my chair, rereading the email. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone wanted me to react dramatically so they could screenshot it and laugh. I wrote back a simple, "What do you mean? Are you safe now?" No answer. I waited a few minutes, then replayed the audio again, turning the volume up. The whispering wasn't random. It followed a rhythmic pattern. Short inhale, long exhale, then something that sounded almost like a mouth clicking open. The hairs on my arms lifted. I amplified the waveform. When I did, I realized the whisper wasn't static at all. It was movement, a soft shuffle, someone stepping lightly on carpet. It made my stomach twist. I checked the timestamp. The email had been sent only 10 minutes earlier, so whatever had scared him had just happened. I refreshed my inbox again. A new message appeared, but it wasn't from Evan R. It was from the same handle that had left the overly friendly YouTube comments, "Teach me everything." The email address was almost identical to the username. The subject line read, "You're doing it wrong." Just that. Inside the message was a single sentence. "Don't ignore me this time." I felt a sudden coldness in my chest. I hadn't ignored anyone. And the tone, playful, possessive, made me nauseous. I clicked the sender's profile. It was blank, created that same month. Before I could think, another email came in from Evan again. The message was only 3 words: "He is here." No explanation, just those 3 words. I stood up from my chair so quickly I knocked over my water bottle. It spilled across the desk, dangerously close to my equipment. I unplugged everything with shaking hands. My apartment, once quiet, now felt suffocatingly silent. And behind me, the window reflected my own image. But for a split second, I thought I saw something else, something darker. I told myself to breathe. Then came the knock on my door. It wasn't a normal knock, not firm, not polite, just deliberate, like fingertips tapping slowly. I froze in the middle of my living room. My first thought was that Evan had somehow found my address, but that made no sense. No one knew where I lived. The knock came again. 3 soft taps. My phone buzzed at the exact same moment. It was another email from "Teach me everything." "Answer the door." I felt something tighten in my throat, something primal and heavy. I didn't move. I didn't speak. Then a voice called through the door, soft, male, almost cheerful. "Hey man, I know you're in there. I just want to show you something. Open up." Every instinct in my body screamed, "No." I backed toward the kitchen, trying not to make sound. The voice called again. "You help strangers all the time, don't you? Tutorials for everyone." A giggle, an actual giggle, followed. "I'm just another subscriber." My hands shook uncontrollably. I grabbed the small kitchen knife I used for cutting fruit. It felt pathetic in my grip. Another knock, this time harder. Then, "I saw your light turn off." I hadn't turned anything off, not yet. But he could see into the apartment. I realized the hallway light was motion activated, meaning he was standing right in front of my door, illuminated, watching the gap under it. I stepped backward, further from the entrance. Silence. Then I heard the doorknob rattle. "Let me show you how to fix things," the voice whispered. "You teach me, I teach you." I dialed 190 with shaking hands. Before I hit call, he spoke again. This time, right against the door. I could hear his breath. "I know you heard the audio." I dropped the phone. And then, without warning, the hallway light clicked off. I don't fully remember what happened next. Panic took over. I grabbed my keys, ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and climbed out the tiny window that opened onto the fire escape. I scraped my knee so hard, I still have a scar. From the metal stairs, I looked back at my apartment window. Someone was inside. A shape moved past the glass, slow, steady, like they were exploring. I didn't wait to see more. I sprinted down the fire escape, ran 3 blocks barefoot, and called the police from a gas station. They found my apartment door open. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing stolen. They told me it was probably a disturbed resident or a prank gone wrong. They shrugged at the emails, couldn't trace them, couldn't prove anything. I moved out the next morning. I stopped making tutorials. I stopped reading comments. I stopped sleeping normally. It's been 11 months. Sometimes I convinced myself it wasn't real. That stress and lack of sleep made me imagine the voice at the door. But then, 2 weeks ago, I checked the email I abandoned after the incident. There was a new message, no subject line, no text, just an audio file attached, named Audio 2 Wave. I haven't opened it, but every night, when the apartment gets quiet, I swear I can hear someone breathing right next to my ear.